Hey guys, welcome to this inbox review of Eduard's FW190A-7 ProfiPACK edition in 148 scale. So this is a first for the channel, which is one of the many and very well received Eduard aircraft kits that have been on the market now for a while. And have been reading a book on JG26, which is Adolf Galland or Galland's unit. It makes quite a mention of the FW190 or Focke-Wulf 190. So I thought we would pick one up and see what it's like. Now I'm not going to go into too much detail on the actual aircraft or the history of the aircraft, because if I'm honest, I don't know too much about this aircraft operational and performances, as this is out of my comfort zone very much. So it being a ProfiPACK, the kit comes with some goodies as per standard in the ProfiPACK series, which is it comes with pre-cut Eduard masks for the canopy, as well as assume pre-printed photo etch fret. There's actually quite a bit of bang for your buck in these kits. I was actually very surprised with the amount of stuff we got in the box. So let's see what we actually get, or the impression that we're given when we just open the box, because this was actually quite impressive. So firstly, we have a fairly attractive box art of a Focke-Wulf coming in amongst a flight of B-17 Flying Fortresses. On the side of the box, we are given our marking guide. So we have 4 aircraft, so it gives us a nice healthy choice. Let's see what we get in the box. So we get a nice healthy amount of parts that should prove to be a pretty interesting and involved build for someone. So, as always, we'll start looking at each sprue in detail, but as always, I prefer to start with the instructions, so we'll have a look there first. So the instructions is a full colour booklet and some very nice glossy quality paper. We have a nice spiel of history on the actual aircraft. So we get a nice sprue map, a lot of grey, so a lot of parts aren't used in this kit, as there's going to be a lot of common parts from their rather extensive FW190 range. The colours are in the GSI Gonzo Sanyu range. We have Mr. Colour and Aquarius as well. So, however, it does give us the RLM colour equivalents. So, once again, once you have a converter, you can actually go and use any colours from any range. So, step 1, as per normal, as we'd expect with any aircraft, begins with the cockpit. Again, this is very clear, should be very easy to follow. However, these are pretty intensive steps, so take your time. When I was reading through this instruction manual when I got this yesterday, I could see potential issue for new aircraft modelers getting lost just because there's a lot going on. We can also have the option of exposing weapon bays, so such as the machine guns in the nose and the cannons in the wingtips, which gives us a lot of diorama possibility right out of the box, which for myself is kind of important. I like to try new things with my aircraft because it's a bit of a treat for me being an armour modeler. So we have in total, so the steps aren't numbered, but we have 11 pages of build steps, and it is pretty involved. However, take your time, shouldn't really lead you astray, or at least I hope. And then we move on to the colour plates for our marking. So we have one aircraft from JG1, which was stationed. JG1 spent most of the war in France and the West, so they often served alongside JG26. And we have a nice aircraft here, some very attractive paint schemes. Second aircraft, which will probably be the aircraft that I'll be building, which is the Commander 7 Squadron JG26, which is probably one of the most interesting and effective fighter squadrons in history, or fighter group, should I say. And we have another aircraft from JG1. Again, they are somewhat similar, but there are some very nice markings and nose art, or unit insignia, should I say. And then the last aircraft is from Sturmstaffel 1, which I believe is the fighter bomber groups, if I remember correctly. I'm not entirely sure of Luftwaffe designation, so if I'm wrong there, I do apologise. And again, all colours, even though they're in the Gonzo Sanyu range, but more importantly, it gives us the RLM equivalents, which is most handy. And then on the back, which you guys can't really see, we have our stenciling guides. And for the most part, these are very clear and they should not leave you astray. So moving on to the goodies that make this kit a ProfiPACK edition. So we get a fret of Zoom, which is printed pre-adhesive photo etch. So we have our cockpit details, which are pre-painted. I know some people don't like this, but we do have the plastic option if we don't want to use it. But nicely, we do get seatbelts that can make life a lot easier for us, though them being steel can be a little bit difficult to get them to conform. And then we get a small photo etch fret of various parts, including the foot pedals for the rudder. And then we get a small bag of pre-cut masks for the canopy and some various little bits and pieces, such as the gun bay masks and what have you. So it's nice that it's all contained in one. And then down to the decals. So the decals, they're printed by Eduard themselves, printed in the Czech Republic. They are a bit thick. I can actually, if I run my thumb over the walk lines, I can actually feel it. So we'll see how these behave once I set them onto the model. But they are incredibly clear and very good register and very, very good sharpness and fidelity. Which is probably saying word that's used twice because I'm smart like that. And they do give us, which is always good, they do give us 2 sheets of stencils. However, the biggie is the actual tactical markings for the aircraft. So again, it's in its own bag. So first off the bat, it comes with Swazies, which it comes with 2 versions. So that's probably for export, where it's a censored item, but luckily it's in one piece here too, so you don't have to do that whole like mumbo jumbo of trying to line it up in 2 pieces. Once again, even through the plastic, I can feel that they're somewhat raised, so they are a bit thick. However, I like to think that maybe they should behave quite well, but we will see once we come to build this kit in the coming weeks. So moving on to the first sprue, which I'll just start with the clear parts. Comes in its own Ziploc bag to protect damage. For the most part, all sprues are bagged, but not individually. There are about 2 or 3 sprues per bag, with the exception of the clear parts. So they do seem very clear. We have options of gun sights. We have option of armoured glass. So do consort your instruction sheets to know which relevant canopy and windshield you should be using. We also have a clear cowling mount where the nose MGs are, which maybe just to allow you to display them if you want. There is a solid plastic version of this as well in the kit. And we get 4 canopy types. I'm not seeing any damage on these parts. No burring, no marks. Very nice. So all the kit's contents, for the most part, are either molded in this kind of light grey-green plastic, or at the exception of the bottom of the fuselage in a tan plastic for some reason. So it's an adhesive bag, so because I know some of you guys don't like staples for some reason. And these are pretty packed sprues, so we'll take a look at them individually and see what type of detail we have. Now please excuse if I don't know what certain parts are. Like I said, I'm not really an aircraft guy, so I may make mistakes along the way, so my apologies in advance. So we have the cowling for the cowling cover for the top machine guns just in front of the cockpit. So the detail is pretty okay. It's a little bit soft in some places, which it's not as sharp as I thought it would be, which is a little bit disappointing. And there is some flashing on parts too. So off the bat, it's not a bad kit, but I'm already beginning to see that the molds are already beginning to show their age a little bit. Then we have the wheel welds for the undercarriage. Again, nicely detailed. Nice engraving detail. We have detail for the instrument panel and the panels in the cockpit. These are not really detailed, they're just pieces of plastic with little dials on them, as in there's not a lot of definition in them. However, these can be replaced with the photo etch parts. We have the cowling covers in 2 pieces. So theoretically you could have these off and buy the aftermarket sets available by Eduard to explode to put a full engine in there if you really want. So we have options of cowlings. That looks like a D9 or Dora cowling cover, which is a long nose 190, the high altitude, high performance aircraft. So a lot of these parts will probably not be used. We do have some nice cannons in the wingtips. I think these are either 15mm or 20mm cannons, if I remember correctly. Again, if I'm wrong, I am sorry. This aircraft is pretty heavily armed. We have the landing gear legs, or the struts. Again, a little bit of flash here and there, which is a little bit disappointing. However, no, Eduard are more known for their photo etch, not their kits. But I am somewhat impressed with the level of bits and pieces they have managed to jam into this kit. I believe these two items here, which are just basically blocks with not that much definition, are the magazines for the machine guns up in the cowling. Because we can actually model the access panel open and have the weapons exposed, which is a very nice touch. So we move on to the next sprue. So we have some more, this is more ordnance for the most part. So we have the main wing support that fits into the inside of the aircraft. So if you only have the hatches open, you can see this, and it is actually detailed, and it's actually quite a nice piece. We have the cockpit floor. It's not as big a cockpit as I thought. Actually, it's kind of shallow. Actually, I thought it'd be a little bit more deep, like a 109's one. Then we have some internal detail. I imagine these are for the gun bays. So yeah, we do have detailing there. So you're gonna have to make up your mind relatively early in this build if you want to have the weapon bays exposed or not, because there is a different step sequence to achieve this. We have some nice internal detail here. These are the access doors to the wingtip or the wing root cannons, both port and starboard. Very nice detail here, quite sharp. We have our spinner or our prop. We have two versions, so we're going to be using one, as the other spinner or prop included is quite large, and I think that's the FWD9 or the Dora is one. That seems like more like a high altitude chap. We also have the aircraft store or ordnance. We have a drop tank, and we have the wing-tipped mortars, which were basically the rocket launchers that used to fire into the bomber streams to try to blow aircraft out of the sky. Now, in this case, we won't be using either the rocket tubes or the I think it's a 250-pound bomb. However, it's there should you want. It also comes with a little jig to help us align the parts of the engine. There is a pretty nice little engine supplied in this kit. It won't be as extensively detailed as a resin piece, but still not a bad representation. And speaking of engines, so this is mostly interior detail, some very, very fragile parts on this sprue. So a sharp blade is a must, or you will hate your life. So we have, again, a lot of flashing on the wheels, but it does give us two options of wheels, depending on what variant we're building. And we have a lot of plumbing for the engine. Very, very small and delicate piping. So this may drive people like me up the wall, because we're not used to this type of delicacy. However, it should make for a very nice model. We have our radial engine, I believe. Again, if that's not the type of engine it is, I am sorry. This is all quite new. Detail for the most part is nice, but at times it's a bit clunky and awkward, if I'm honest. I've no doubt this is going to build up to a very nice kit, but it'd be very interesting to get a Tamiya kit of a 190 in the future and just compare them. Though I have a feeling this could be the superior kit. We also have the cannon. These appear to be the cannon barrels for the wing roots. Okay, so it's an interesting sprue. I'm sorry I don't really recognise too much of this. A lot of this is quite new, but I imagine it all looks to be, for the most part, engine plumbing and the engine mounting bracket. So we move on to our second bag and final bag of parts. And for some reason the lower part of the fuselage is in tan plastic for reasons. So it'll be interesting to see what the surface detail of the fuselage itself is. So we'll actually just start with this large one-piece section. So again, some flashing I'm seeing. I'm not seeing any pit marks or pin marks or sink marks, which is good. So flashing I can live with. From very nice rivet detail, I have to say. So keep your paint thin painting these, or you will lose a lot of this nice detail. So nice and engraved panel lines here that actually look in scale, or they're not half a foot deep, which is one of the complaints for a lot of the a lot of the Airfix 48 scale kits. Not much detail on the interface, just small drill marks for the different type of ordnance or variant you're building. As you can see, the control surfaces are separate, so you can model them accordingly. So here's the unmistakable profile of the Focke-Wulf 190. I quite like this, actually like this aircraft. It's one of my favorite Axis aircrafts. Again, really nice panel and rivet detail. So if you do post or pre-stick shading, or you do panel washes to achieve your definition, these should pick up very nicely. We have our upper wing details, including the pre-cut axis panels to the wing root cannons, which is cool that you can model these open and display them, which is really nice. And once again, the control surfaces are separate, at least on the elevators at least. I think these are elevators. Not much detail on the inner side of the cockpit, or so it must be the cockpit sits in and there's a self-contained unit. However, there is limited detail in the wing roots. And our last sprue is a little bit of everything in it. So we have our engine assemblies, some very nice detail, again a little bit of flashing here and there, but nothing to get too upset or excited about. We have our stabes and flaps, which is kind of cool that they're separate pieces. I think the rudder is in two pieces too, which is nice. You can articulate it, or at least decide which direction you want it in. We have a little bit of, let's bring us in so we can see. That looks to be either the back of the engine or a firewall. We have our cowling detail. Very nice. We have our mounting pylon for our drop tank and or ordnance. What else do we have? At least stuff that I recognise. We have our tail wheel, or the hell it's called. Nicely detailed there, but not too much to write home about. You have two options. You have either one with the wheel separately or one with the wheel molded in place. I'll just probably go for that one, just paint around it. It's not too difficult. Then we have the actual canopy mount. So basically the canopy sits on this and that's what allows it to slide. And we have our cockpit pilot seat. Very simple, actually, kind of bucket style design. But there is some nice little rivet detail in the inner face of that. So that's quite nice. So in all, this is a very impressive and quite in-depth kit. You can do a lot with this. I'm actually quite looking forward to build this. So there you have my rather short and somewhat limited knowledge of the Focke-Wulf 190A-7 by Eduard in 1:48. My impressions of this kit is it looks to be very impressive. Okay, we do have some kind of spongy detail in places and a little bit of flashing, but I have every faith that it's going to build up into a nice kit. So this should build up to a very nice kit. I'm actually looking quite forward to building this. However, I had to finish my Spitfire and a few other builds before I even consider tackling this. So I'm quite impressed. The ProfiPACK I think is a great idea. It's just that everything is there to build. Thank you for watching. I do hope you didn't mind me butchering plain terminology, and forgive me for my ignorance on a lot of the detail. So do stay tuned for a build video and painting video of the 190 at some point in the future. and do stay tuned in the next couple of days for part 2 of my 148 scale Spitfire Mark 1 video, which is nearing completion. Just a few little bits and pieces to do before I can edit it all together. So thank you for watching as always, my friends. Stay safe, happy modelling, and watch out for those buses. Surprise bonus round! And also, I picked up something a little bit different. So most of you who know me know I smoke a tobacco pipe because I'm cool and I like solving crimes. So I picked up, and Jim, who's a friend of the channel, who was also his birthday. Jim, happy birthday, my friend. And I hope you're keeping well. I haven't heard from you in a while, so I hope you're doing okay. And he had mentioned Mercium pipes, which is the clay pipe. And I just happened to be online, and I got bored and typed it up into eBay, and I picked up this fella. So this is a Mercium pipe. I might be saying that wrong. It's a chap smoking a pipe. It's kind of cool. So you got a little bit of a bonus unboxing of something totally irrelevant to most of you, but cool nonetheless. So with that bombshell, thanks for watching. Stay safe as always, lads. Catch you in the next one. Bye bye.